Holy moly, 3,000 there for a moment, 1,300. Holy cow. Hey Meep, buddy, I've got another idea. What if we used Sweepy bots up here to bottle up polluted water and thus allow us to extract oxygen from it? Would that work? Sounds like a good experiment. Now this is based on something I've done several times. I've used algae terrariums in the past and had the duplicants come along and actually plunge to get the polluted water out of there. I then filter it out in order to produce oxygen inside of my base. It's a great way to get your oxygen system up and running in the early stages of your base, but it tends to be a little bit unstable long term. In my previous playthrough, I then took this to the next level by using a modded piece of equipment called a bottle filler, where we can go ahead and put that water into a bottle and then have it automatically drop onto the ground. But then I was thinking the other day, you know what? We should be able to do this in a vanilla-like style here. So I've set up a couple of Sweepy docks down here. I'm gonna go ahead and plug them in so they're all ready to go. And then all I'm going to do is take my excess polluted water, so something like this, or maybe something that comes out of the bathroom, and I'm going to pipe that into all of these locations here. Just below that, I have a hydro sensor set up, and I can set these up to be active when they are below something like 5 kilograms, therefore closing up this liquid vent. Now, because I just only want to test one right now, I'm going to snip off the rest of these real quick. But the idea is that the water can flow into this area here, and then this Sweepy bot will just start to bottle it up. It'll then fill up this dock. So inside of here, we should get a lot of polluted water, but then we got to get that polluted water out of there in a bottled form, because when it's in a bottle, we can stack it up indefinitely and therefore actually use it to let off a ton of polluted oxygen. You can see right here, this Sweepy's doing a pretty good job of collecting a fair amount of polluted water. It actually seems like I want to bring in more polluted water here so that he's a little bit more effective. Right now he's only doing grams per second. So if I bring this up and I make it, let's say 20 kilograms. Yeah, you can see it's now doing, ooh, that was 9 kilograms right there for a moment. 10 kilograms. All right, so this guy can keep up for sure. It looks like one vent per Sweepy bot is the way to go. It may even be possible that I can run multiples to this thing. He's collecting very fast. But you can see right now, just with the small puddle down here, we're not letting off much oxygen. We only got a little couple milligrams inside of here. So without mods, unfortunately we cannot auto sweep from the Sweepy dock to something like a bottle emptier, because the auto sweeper doesn't want to move liquid bottles. So we got to be a little bit more creative on how we're going to do that. And we're going to have to find a way to have a duplicate come down here, collect a whole lot of stuff, and then drop it on the ground. So the thing I'm trying to think through right now is how do I let a dupe do what they need to do? And then how do I store the bottle in an area where they cannot get back to it? Oh, hold up. I think you can make a dropping unit like this. If we have a door and something like a duplicate motion sensor, you should be able to detect when they show up and then drop the floor out from beneath them. Yeah. All right, so the arrangement is terrible at the moment, but let's just see if it works. And then we put polluted water right there. All right, who's gonna be my dupe? Oh, hey Moop, how you doing, bud? Yeah, grab that. Then you're gonna come up here. Well, that didn't work, Meep. You were too fast. Oh, I could see that being a problem. Hang on. Where is the duplicate checkpoint? Maybe, just maybe, I'll actually be able to use this for once. What do you think about that, Meep? Does that make you excited? No, probably breathing would make you excited, but hey man, we've got priorities around here. A duplicate motion sensor, yes, just like that. And then we do this number. Yeah, let's just drop that out. Okay, there we go. We will deny access to that area. Shut down. Meep's gonna come on over here. Wait. And Meep! All right, we're gonna play it this way. We're gonna throw not gates down, and we are just gonna close doors on your face, and that will work. Take that, you're so stuck. Grabbing that polluted water, running over here. Whap. All right, there's an easier way to do this. So when Meep here is close enough to the motion sensor, these doors open. But what I really want to happen is I want these doors to close. That way you can't actually get to this spot. So that just becomes a closed room. And then when Meep moves away, aha, now he's like, oh, I have something to do. So he goes down there, grabs a bottle of polluted water, and then outruns the doors. You're too fast, Meep. Meep, I've got something new for you to try. All right, so now you're coming down here, you're grabbing out of the dock, yep, then you go back up. You come on over here, the sensor detects you. You wait. This thing has a big old filter gate on it. And now, the duplicant is moving materials into storage. Wait till that closes. Oh my gosh, you outrun it. Okay, we're gonna add this door. I added an airflow tile down here rather than a door. Bro, you're just going straight through a door. Okay. All right, there we go. More distance. I know you can't reach it, Meep. It opens. Aha, and there goes the polluted water. Yes! All right, so we do have a method. And then when he runs away, I can go get more polluted water. All right. And for once, I've actually made use of a duplicant checkpoint. Wow. All right, so now I've got a working method here. Meep grabs a little bit of polluted water here, comes on over here to the duplicant checkpoint. That closes the door. He's like, oh no, I can't reach it. Drops it on the ground. This thing counts down, which could probably be like 3 seconds. And then boom, just like that, the polluted water drops down. Now this needs to be in an open area so that it will actually off gas. Right now it's underwater. So at this point I've got a method that works, just the arrangement doesn't work. So let me clean it up. All right, so the most important thing for this arrangement here was that mechanized airlock. On top of that, I have the duplicant checkpoint. Set somewhere above that is going to be the duplicant motion sensor. In order to make sure that I drop this, I need another airlock right here, and that will block my duplicants off from being able to go through there. Hopefully just out of reach is going to be this bottle emptier right there, and that's where I'm going to deliver my polluted water. Then, so we can't get to it, we'll just kind of do this number right here. Or I could put another mechanized airlock over here and allow access from a different direction if I actually wanted them to be able to drop it down, which would be fine. I could do something like that. So I could play around with that. All right, so the automation that I need here is a NOT gate, and that's coming off of the motion sensor. So just like this will close down that door. I also need a small filter gate, so I'm going to put that right here. And then, going from that door right there, I'll go into the filter, into that, and we can make that filter gate, 5 seconds is probably just about right. When the duplicant is detected in this area, we're going to open up that floor right there, so when the bottle is dropped, it's going to drop right down here. Now, I want that to be over 3 tiles down, so just like this, so the duplicants don't go down there and pick it up. And I'm going to make this out of mesh tile, so if any water does flow down there somehow, some way, it doesn't actually block up the bottles. I want that to just build up pressure. So then just below this is where I'm going to have my Sweepy dock. And because we're kind of using this to produce oxygen, I'm going to go around here and I'm just going to use airflow tiles around this entire area, like so. And I'll close off this right here. So this is where all of our polluted oxygen is going to be just, hopefully, just bellowing out of this area. Oh, here's a good idea. If I put a Sweepy dock down here, and then if I just take this area right down here, instead of actually making it airflow tiles, I could just make it normal tiles like this. I can actually just put a little carbon skimmer down here. All right, and last but not least, if we have a lot of polluted oxygen flowing out of here, we're going to need a lot of deodorizer. All right, let's see if this works. All right, so I've removed basically all the oxygen in this room. So let's see how this arrangement works. Meep, where you at, bud? All right, so just waiting for a little bit of polluted water to show up. There we go. Look at that, Sweepy go. Okay, that should be polluted water. As long as that is at the same priority or lower, Meep should go ahead and grab it out of there. Go to drop it, aha! But then the polluted water falls on the ground and now it's starting to off gas. Yes! Currently at the rate of 8.5 grams a second. Except for Meep has no idea to move away and go do something else. I need you to go do something else, Meep. A very pointless power generator should give you another task. Priority level 1. Battery set to 100%. There you go. There we go. There goes a little bit more polluted water. Yes! It is working. 17.5 grams a second. Yes! 26 grams a second. Remember that a duplicate here consumes 100 grams a second of oxygen. So even in this small amount of time here, we're already up to 26 grams a second of polluted oxygen coming off of this. And then it's converted into clean oxygen via the deodorizers. So what I'm thinking after this is we end up putting a pump up here and we actually create a low pressure zone so that this thing keeps running. And just like any other oxygen system, you can keep making more of it. Right now the Sweepy is kind of running around a little bit too much. I'm gonna close him in just a little bit more. I want him to be much closer to the dock. So let me go ahead and just restrict Sweepy down here. There you go. Look at that, up to 47 grams a second. Ha! Wow, this is going fast. All right, you don't need your suit anymore. There's plenty of oxygen around here. See, there you go. Breathe it up, Meep. We're up to 92 grams a second. Ha! All right, so does this duplicate checkpoint consume power continuously? No, it doesn't seem to. Let me just take a look at the report for the day. Power usage. Yeah, the duplicate checkpoint has used a massive 108 joules, basically nothing. The lamp is using more, by a lot. So, okay, the duplicate checkpoint is incredibly efficient. We don't need to do anything extra fancy there. All right, so this is working really good. What I've got going on now is I've got a couple of algae distillers up here that are being loaded up with slime. So they are producing algae, which is useful obviously for oxygen and whatnot. But we're also pumping out lots and lots of polluted water over here, 800 grams a second out of just 2 of these, at the temperature that the slime actually is. And then that's flowing on over here, and then we are now emitting over 300 grams per second of polluted water right there. Although Meep's starting to get a little stressed out, isn't he? Well, I guess he hasn't eaten for a few days. Maybe that might have something to do with it. Here you go, bud. Ashkin, time for you. Yes, this is awesome. We're storing up 8 tons of polluted water right here. 320 grams a second. This is awesome. All right, so the cool thing about this is since we use all of these deodorizers, we're actually converting either sand or regolith into clay, which then when combined with coal, will make us a lot of ceramic, which is very useful for like insulating stuff. We're almost up to 400 grams a second. If you just let this run for a good long time, as I've done in the past, you will build up a tremendous amount of water down here, which can produce loads and loads of oxygen. Holy moly, 3,000 there for a moment, 1,300. Holy cow. See, that's what I'm talking about. There is a ton of oxygen that can come out of that one thing right there. Holy moly. It really comes down to the ability of how can you get your oxygen away from what it is you're pumping right there. Maybe the idea is to actually just pump polluted oxygen and then clean it at the source. What I have going on over here is I have several deodorizers that are all lined up to this gas pump. So the idea is that it can actually pull in the oxygen and then pump it away. But by doing that, you end up with at least 5 deodorizers in front of it because each one of these runs at the rate of 100 grams a second. So your pump at 500, you know, you obviously need 5 to balance it out. Let's try this. Let's just try putting pumps right here. And then anytime this thing detects that we are above, I don't know, 900, we start running it. I mean, just like that, we're now pumping a constant 1 kilogram per second right there. This thing's producing 1,500 grams per second out of this bottled water. Holy moly! I knew this was powerful, but it hasn't really been running that long, and holy cow! Did somebody order a little bit of oxygen? All right, fine. Have 2 more gas pumps. All right, there we go, 2 more pumps. Look at all the oxygen. Holy cow, that's 2 kilograms per second. And we're still maintaining positive pressure over here. This thing is still keeping up with it. Oh, wait. No, maybe? Every once in a while, a little bit of oxygen from somewhere else pops in. Ooh, there we go. 24.8 tons. So once we get to 25 tons, we've maxed it out. And at this point, it looks like it's bouncing between 1,400 grams per second, upwards of 1,800 grams per second for one complete stack of polluted water right there. So that is a humongous amount of oxygen. Now, obviously, we'll have to filter that oxygen if we want to use it, you know, for suits or something like that. But you could use this here to, I mean, you could just cool it down and make liquid oxygen out of it, no problem. So the real question now is, do you filter it here at the source? Doesn't look like it. Maybe you filter it at the vent. So a vent looks something like this. We're just surrounded with loads and loads of deodorizers. There you go. Take that, polluted oxygen. Look at all that oxygen. One thing's for certain. We're not struggling for oxygen over here. Meep, you can breathe all day. Is there a way to turn this off? And I think there is. If we take a weight plate and we put that down there, is it going to tell me how much is on it? All right, you can see right there it has 25 tons. What's the maximum? Can I type this into 25,000? Nope, I can't. Well, unfortunately, the weight plate's not gonna work because we're way off the scale. Darn it. I'm not really sure. This is like a runaway train and you just end up with way too much oxygen at the end. Oh, hey, look at that. I think we finally caught up to it. That, or by having multiple bottles in the same spot, it doesn't run as fast. No, I think it might be just the pressure thing. Let's go to 700 then. All right, so after a few more cycles, we're up to 179. And it seems like the amount of polluted oxygen coming off of these bottles here is kind of averaged out a little bit. So it's calmed down from the ridiculous numbers we were seeing earlier. So the smaller bottle, the first one we started to build up there, is now settling down to about 900. And it's going to continue to drop a little bit over time. But at the same time, we're building up more. So the other bottle is coming up to fill that place. So I'm up to about 1,300 grams a second of polluted oxygen coming off of this right now. So we can see that this method here has still worked just like all the other times I've done it in the past. But how does it compare to some of the other different ways we have to produce oxygen? Well, the electrolyzer over here is going to be about easy to set up. I mean, it takes 1 kilogram of water to produce 888 grams of oxygen and to get hydrogen out of it. The big downside to an electrolyzer system is that it's producing that oxygen at 70 degrees Celsius. So it's very, very hot. You end up having to deal with the heat. So in a method like this, we're actually not adding heat to this whole thing because essentially we're just off-gassing the oxygen at the temperature of the polluted water. So the big difference between the electrolyzer system and something like an off-gassing bottle here is going to be the temperature. And then the fact that we're actually we have to use a filtration medium. So if you are on a map with a ton of sand, then this is a way to actually kind of use up your sand and then turn it into something very useful, which is something like ceramic. Otherwise, you're going to need to go to the top of your map and start consuming down your regolith. Which again, I mean, this is a great use for regolith. But then when you're dealing with regolith, you are dealing with the temperature of regolith, which happens to be quite hot. You know, for example, I just picked a blob of it up from the surface and it's 150 degrees Celsius. So heat can not be a problem, but it can also be a huge problem. It all just depends on what the temperature of your filtration medium is. So the other method here is using the terrarium and you're constantly dripping water onto the thing. The downside there is you are using up a bit of algae. However, you're not really using up much water. It just becomes polluted water and then you have to filter it back to clean water. Although that does allow you to eliminate a bit of carbon dioxide. So this is definitely a different method, and I would say a much less traditional method of producing oxygen in your base, something fun to play around with. But essentially, the main advantages here are that you are able to convert down your filtration medium into clay, and then you can turn that into ceramic. This is a great way of producing humongous amounts of ceramic. The other thing here is it's a great way to bulk store up something like polluted water. At this point, I've basically stored up all the water over here, just in this little area, only using one little Sweepy dock. So that's pretty awesome. And if you need it, like you have a problem with one of your other oxygen systems like this allows you to produce a ton of oxygen very, very quickly, and in such a way that it really can't fail. Like if you lose power, this thing is still going to produce oxygen for you. The only one time that you can run into an issue here is if you end up with the wrong type of gas overpressuring your bottles down here. So if you end up with a bunch of natural gas or something, or chlorine or carbon dioxide that fills up and covers up your polluted water, then that will cause you issues. Otherwise, it's going to sit down here and it's going to produce humongous amounts of polluted oxygen. So is it the right solution for your base? I don't know. I would say it's a little bit less than traditional, but it's definitely interesting. And if there's one thing that I'm quite happy about is that I actually found a use for the duplicate checkpoint. So just to go over what's happening here once more, kind of in slower motion, I'm bringing in polluted water from many different sources, be it a puddle down here, something like some algae distillers, or coming off of my lavatories. All of that is able to find its way down here into a pit. I have a little bit of an automation signal set up here on the hydro sensor so that I don't overfill this pit and end up flooding everything. That just runs to a liquid vent. Down here at the bottom, I have a happy little sweeper who's just sweeping up all of that polluted water and feeding it into a Sweepy dock here. My duplicates want to come down here and they want to unload this dock and they want to deliver it to a bottle emptier. So you can see Meep is doing that right now. He's picked up his 200 kilograms of polluted water and then ends up being detected by a duplicate motion sensor. The automation signal here opens up this door right down here, and that ultimately will allow the bottle to fall out. However, my duplicate can still run on top of an open door. The other half of this signal goes to a NOT signal, and that is going to close down this mechanized airlock. That automation signal runs over here to a filter gate, which doesn't let my dupe run through here. So this is a very short little timer. So he's just going to sit there and wait. And because he can no longer go through this door, drops that polluted water down through the hole. If they have another task, I don't know, going to do whatever they want to do, then they're going to run on over here like to a manual generator and then run away from the checkpoint, therefore resetting that whole operation. So just to show it in real time here, Meep picks up a little bit of polluted water, comes over here, gets stopped, drops that back down, and then runs off to go do something else. Now because this is down 3 spots right there, it doesn't try to reach it and pick it up or anything like that. So that's kind of the important bits of how that cycle is working right there. So that's how I'm able to stack up an unlimited amount of bottled water right down here. So then as this builds up over time, it's going to allow us to release even more and more polluted oxygen. Right now this is about 1,500 grams per second. But the more you store up here, the more you're going to be able to produce. So there you have it, guys, another use for Sweepy and a duplicate checkpoint. At any rate, that's all I got time for today. Thank you guys for watching, and a big thanks to all of my Patreon supporters. If this looks like the channel for you, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you again next time. Stay awesome, guys. Peace. Brothgar out.